Hello everyone. So today let's gonna code the same lab that we have in the previous video. Remember what we did? What we did? Let me do a quick recap. We have to build an application, remember? Okay, that read that data from a file. Okay, where is the file? Remember, the best thing is save the file in the default location on NetBeans. So then inside of your project, not inside source code, no, just outside, save the file. And this is when we save this file, right? Remember, this is first name, last name, date of birth, bonus one and bonus two. What we did is just create a report, correct? After reading each line, what we did before was capture the line and then use the split method, right? We receive that in an array that we call SA tokens. And then we have in SA token 0 Austin, SA token 1 Jacobs. Next time that you read the next line, SA token 0 is going to have Louis with your SA1 index 1, index 2 date of birth, the data. Correct? So after that, we create an object and we use the setter, right? To set the data for the object. Remember that? This is the class employee with the default and this overloader constructor. We created a method compute average, getter and setter. Okay? And what we did was just create a while loop, right? When we describe the same thing that I described seconds ago. We read the first line, position the first line, extract the first line in the string. We use the split method to split the data that we have here, for example, using the as a special character, the column, right? And then we create a new employee and we set the first name with whatever we have in SA token 0, last name SA token 1, and so on. What we did here, parse double. Remember parse double? Why? Because everything that is in the array SA tokens, remember SA token is an array, it's gonna be a string. So you have as a string 5,000 with double quotation marks. So this is why we use the double parse double to extract the number that is inside the string and convert like a double. And then you can use the set because the attribute bonus is a double, right? This is why we have to do this step here. Okay, after completing the data for the object, what we did? We added the object to the list. Which list? Let me show you here. We created an array list, right? That is empty at the beginning to store employee objects. We just add the employee that we create empty, but then we use the setter to set that proper data. We add it to the list so we can repeat and continue reusing the same variable, but we're gonna add all the employees at the end of the while loop to emp list. Okay, then what we did is a for loop. Correct, the for loop here. Okay, remember when you try to retrieve the object from your list, you will have to use get. The list get 0 is gonna be the first object in your list. Remember what we did? Okay, in the last video. And then you can retrieve the name. You can retrieve the get last name. You can retrieve get bonus 1, get bonus 2, whatever. Or you can use another method, for example, compute average. This is what we did in our previous lab. What we're gonna do today is do the same thing, but with some requirements. So what are the requirements? Let's gonna read that. Use the ArrayList of Employee objects to store employee information read from the file. We did it, right? Nothing new. This ArrayList should be declared in your main method. as a local variable. Okay. So in the main method, we have to declare an array list. Then what happened? Store the data from the file in the appropriate attributes in the employee class. Okay, we did it. You must extract the pieces of information, example first name, and store them in the appropriate employee attribute. We did it, right, with the setter. But here is that is new. Include the following user-defined method in the class with the main method. Oh, so it means that you need to create now how many additional methods? 1, 2. How is going to be the first method? Generate list of employees. This method not return a value, so it's going to be a void method. One parameter, array list of employees. So you're going to receive an array list of employees. You are not going to receive an integer, a double, an array. You're going to receive an array list of employees. The while loop, the same thing. Read the file, read the line, create object, set the attribute for the object, and then add the object to the list. Then we have another method to print employee information. This method no return a values, mean that it's a void method. One parameter employee object. Okay, this method receive an object. The other method generate list receive an array list of object of employee objects. This one receive an employee object, and then print the employee name and her bonus average. Okay, so it's going to implement the same thing, but now using methods. So I'm gonna leave this one because maybe we're gonna use that, and I'm gonna create here something that called employee application method, just to distinguish them. Okay. Just in case, main method plus, you're gonna have a lot of curly braces, so it could be a good best practice to comment the curly braces. Okay, now you have the main method, but they told you here that you need the method generate list of employee. Okay, public. Okay, generate list of employees. So you don't want to have everything in the main method. Okay, again, see that everything was in the main method, right? Yes, now it's now said that we don't want that everything in the main method. We want to split, right? So let's gonna see here. We need to create a method here, right? We have the main method, and we're going to start creating the other method. We're going to start creating the generate public static. Okay. Question. This method is going to be a method that return a value? No, no return value. It means that this method is going to be a void method. Generate list, for example. Generate list of employees. Okay, it said that one parameter. Oh, here. One parameter. Array list of employee. Okay. Array list of employee. Okay. Type array list of what? Of employee. Right. And one variable. So, for example, we need to add the Java util array list, right? Okay. Okay, it's the first time that you are seeing this kind of parameter. Before, if I told you this method receive an integer, one parameter integer, okay? Number, right? if I ask you this method, how do you write a code so the method receives a string? Oh, no problem. One parameter string. Correct? Now it said the parameter is going to be array list of employees. So don't overthink. Just type array list of employee. All the reference variable is. It's the same thing, right? But somehow you're going to receive an array here, array list here. Okay, and what is the logic here? The while loop. Oh, the while loop, perfect. So here you have the while loop here. Let me copy and paste. So inside this method, you're gonna have the logic here. Okay, so it means that we're gonna declare here all the variables that we declare at the beginning. Remember what we declare as input line, as file name, file to open, and the scanner. And also declare the array we call as a token that we're going to use after executing the split method. So what happened? We added here the scanner and the file class. Okay, remember, we are not going to handle sections here, okay? In other video, I'm going to teach you how to handle a section. For now, just accept that there is a possibility that your code is not going to run because the file maybe doesn't exist in your system. So click here and add throw clause for Java file not found section. Okay, so again, what we did is create a variable as input line, as we did before, file name, and a string just to factor the name, just indicate the name of your file. File to open, the class file is going to create a file object. For it, we're going to use the reference variable file to open to point to the file in the computer memory. What is file name? Is the name of the file. Then we're going to create a scanner, but instead of to type system.in, we're going to type now the name of the reference variable that is pointing to the file object. So the scanner is going to read the file and create a string array to receive the result of the split. The while loop that we did before, remember? Okay, problem, I don't want to display that again, but you know that. Remember, in this while loop, we're gonna read the first line, really quick. Has next is gonna read the first line and gonna read the line, but the first line is gonna point here to the first line, right? And then what happened? We're gonna save this line because we're using the scanner input file. Next line is gonna capture everything. Next line, no next. Remember next is capture if there is a white space, stop. But next line capture the whole line, and you're gonna save in as input line. Now that you have this line in the variable string as input line, you can use the split. Split by columns. So SA token 0 is going to have Austin. SA token 1, Jacob. SA token 2, 9/29. SA token 3, 5,000. But we parse that to convert to a double because everything is a string. 6,000 here, SA token 4. Right. So we create an empty employee and we use the setter with that array SA tokens to put the data for our object. And then we add the object to the list. But question, inside this method, inside the method generate employee list, what is the name, what is the name of the reference variable for the list, for the array list. Let me see. List, not employee list. Remember that we copy and paste from our code before? So here is list. So this method is a method that doesn't return a value. It's a void method. Parameter, one parameter, array list of employee. We have the reference variable list, and we read the file. Which file? Employee.txt. And what we do here? It's split the data, correct? Because we have columns. Split that, create an employee, set the data because all the data is now in SA tokens, and then add the object to the list. That's it. We finish the first method. Second method, print employee information to screen. Okay, it's gonna do that. So this one is gonna be here. A method generate employees. Now I'm gonna create another method. Public static. Let me see the definition. Not return value. So no return value means that this one is going to be void method. Okay, we're going to continue reading the definition. No return value, one parameter, employee object. Okay, so this method is going to be called print employee. Okay, print emp info, print employee info. And this method is going to receive what? One parameter, employee object. Okay, so employee object. So how do you want to call that? Employee, lowercase, the reference variable. Yeah, you can call it like this. Okay. So this is gonna be in methods print emp info. Right? Now your job is code the logic here. Okay, we define not return value, one parameter receive an employee. What's next? Print the employee name and his/her bonus average. Okay, remember? We did that here, right? But using the list. What is the difference? That now you are going to print an employee because you received the employee. You don't receive a list. How come we're going to do that? Since it's out, you need to print employee names. Okay. What is the sample output? Employee name. Okay. And you have to display first name and last name. Okay. So when you call this method, you are going to receive the employee. In which variable? So just print the first name and last name. If you receive the object here in the reference variable, this reference variable is going to point to the object, right? So the only thing that you will have to do is get first name, last, dot, get last name, right? Right? See that it's easy. So this method is going to print an object. Which object? Employee object. So you receive the object here in the reference variable. This reference variable is going to point now to the object. So now use the reference variable to get the first name and the last name. And the output says that last name have to be uppercase, right? Okay. Dot to uppercase. That's it. And then what else? I guess the bonus average. Bonus average. The bonus average is gonna be the same thing. Employee dot compute average. Right? Mr. Confirmation here. That's it. Simple method. So we define the two methods. Really, really easy, right? Okay, now what do we have to write here in the main method? Let's gonna see that. The employee class is for the logic that you write has to be done. Okay, then it said here. Your program must implement the following logic requirement. Use an array list of employee object to store employee file should be declared in the main method as a local variable. Okay, in the main method, you have to declare the array list of employee. Okay, array list of what? Employee. Let's gonna call that list equal new array list. Employee. So this array list here is empty, right? But now, how can you populate this array list? Think about it. The main method is gonna call what? Generate list, correct? List here is empty. However, the logic to populate the list of employee is here in another method, correct? Don't forget to close the file, okay? So here, we're gonna call here generate list, correct? And what do we have to pass? So this method generate emp list work. This method receive an array list of employee. Oh, the main method have an array list of employee that is empty. Okay, let's gonna pass this array list that is empty, okay, to here. Generate employee list, generate employee list. I have an array list of employee. It receives an array list of employee. Got it? What is the error here? The same thing. Add the file not found section because maybe it's not gonna work this method. Right? Add the section here because maybe the file doesn't exist. So this method is gonna work with this method. So just in case this method is not gonna work, you will have to add that in Java. We're gonna handle a section later. Okay, so what happened here? So this array list is empty, right? It's pointing, M list is pointed to an array list that is empty, correct? Suppose that the array list here is. But in the index 0 is nothing, nothing. Suppose that this is the location in the computer memory, for example, 1, 1, 1. So this one is pointing here, correct? Empty array list, there is no object there. No, no, no. So what happened now? You have another array list here, right? So when you pass mlist, what you are passing? What do you have in mlist? Add 111, right? So you're gonna pass here add 111 to list. So list is gonna point to the same array that is empty. But what we're gonna do here, we're gonna start adding objects here. Objects, objects, many objects. So when this method is done, you are gonna be able to see the array list with all the objects in the main method with the reference variable mlist, because both mlist and list are pointing to the same TB, to the same object. So if you change the channel here, you're gonna see the channel here. If you add a new employee, you're gonna see the new employee here. If you delete an employee, you're gonna see the employee here. Because both in the main method and in the generate mlist are pointing to the same array list of objects. So this method is gonna add the objects as we see before. When it's done, here, it's done, in the main method, you have everything in the reference variable mlist, pointing to the same array list. Beautiful, right? So let's gonna go back. Okay, now that you have in the main method all the list of employee, because you call this method and this method populate the list, what is next? What is next? We need to call print info, right? To print the employee information. Okay. It's gonna call. Okay. How do we call it? Name of the method. And what do I have to write to this method's word? I need to pass an employee. Oh, okay. Let me pass an employee. In the main method, where are the employee objects? In the list, mlist, right? Okay. So mlist. Okay, have an object. Where are the objects? What happens if you want to pass the first object? Oh, Professor Toledo told me that. Get index 0 is the first object, right? Index 1 is the second object, and so on, right? Index 0 now. Okay. Get 0 is the first object. See that? I'm gonna clean that. I'm gonna take a new picture. So what happened here? If you have the list here, remember, mlist is pointing here. So if you use mlist get 0, you are seeing the object that you have here, right? So mlist get 0 is an object, an employee object. So you're gonna pass an employee object, the first object in your list. Here, let me move the methods here, so you understand much better. So what happened? mlist get 0 is the first object, right? So you're gonna pass the object here. So you're gonna pass all the information for the first object here. And then you can use get first name. You're gonna get Austin. Last name, you're gonna get Jacobs. Got it? So if you wanna print all your objects, you will have to use here 1, then 2, then 3. What is that? This looks like repetition, right? Correct? So what happens if we have 1,000 of objects? You will want to code 0 to 999? No, right? So let's gonna do a for loop. Less than what? We're gonna print all the object in wish list. In wish list. Okay, so how can we know the size of the list? Remember, in list have the object, right? So let's gonna use here. Remember, you use in list here. You use list in the other method. Here in the main method, you know about in list. So here, in list dot size. So this for loop is gonna print from objects position 0 less than the size. Right? You know that you have the radius here. The first object is in index 0. Suppose that you have 4 objects. What is the size? 4, right? But the index starts at 0, and the last element is size minus 1, right? This is why we're using here less than the size. We're going to go from 0 to size minus 1. And here, let's going to call the method to print the object. But we're going to take advantage for the index of the for loop, right? Start at 0, then 1, 2, 3, and so on. All right. Beautiful. So the only thing that we need is, after printing, we're going to use a white line. Dun, perfect. Using method. This is that you will have to do in a project that I'm gonna post later. Okay? Please start watching, understanding that, practice, and when you're done, we're gonna proceed with my next lab. Okay? I hope this video helped you. Bye.